Hi there, this is Katie again. I have another attempt at some Proctor training for you. I decided I'm just going to go through this myself and record it so that those of you having difficulty logging into the training site can just watch it and be trained. So I'm going to go over to the training and I'm just going to play it, and this may have more than one part to it, depending on how long this goes. All right, so let's get started.
While you can expect students to be a little anxious on test day, rest assured that test day unfolds in some fairly predictable ways. Coordinators will have everything ready to go, so proctors can pick up prepared kits specific for their test rooms. In the rooms, proctors will come up with seating plans and prepare to admit students to the test. They'll hand out test materials after all the students have arrived, not before. Then, the test follows the routine described in the testing room manual in both direction and script, which proctors will read word for word. Proctors will engage in active monitoring, watching for and tracking any irregularities in the room. Once all sections are complete, the proctors will collect all the test materials and dismiss the room before sharing the materials back to the coordinator. How will you get around in this course? Let's start with the menu. You access it here. Here are the modules you'll need to get through. They contain topics or areas of interest. Select one to start it. Once in a topic, use the navigation shown here to pause, replay, or review a text-based version of the narration. If you forget which topic you're in, you can remind yourself here. These dots indicate where you are in the topic and how much you have left to go. You can advance using this arrow or go back to prior content with this arrow. If this is your first test administration, we recommend taking the topics in order, which you can do by selecting the first topic and using the forward arrow to go all the way through the course. More experienced proctors can use the menu and access topics at will. On some screens, you'll need to participate. Follow the instructions provided on those screens. Select one of these options to continue. Coordinators should have prepared kits to share with you when you get to school. The kits will contain a student list for the room, the correct number of test books and answer sheets, as well as a testing room manual and an irregularity report. If your school did not conduct pre-administration sessions, you'll also receive supplemental handouts to be handed out with answer sheets so students can complete the needed demographic information. Be advised, once you have the materials, you become responsible for their security until they're returned after the test. This means keeping an eye on them all morning or engaging the room monitor or coordinator during breaks to watch over them while you're on breaks. Suppose this was your test room. As of right now, it's not suitable for testing. When you close this window, select the Room Criteria button and review the test room requirements. Then you'll see 5 highlights on elements that need to be fixed. See if you can identify how to correct each of the problems. That's it. Any learning materials on the walls have to be removed or covered. Good. Study carrels are not permitted in the test room. Right. Desks need to be facing the front of the room. All of them. You've got it. Desks need to be separated by 3 feet measured from the center of the desks to beat cheating. Correct. The room needs to have a clock set up at the front of the room or another means of accounting for time. You've identified all the best options to set up the room correctly. Select the arrow to continue. Before the test starts, students need to put information on their answer sheets that provides identification as to where and when they took the test. Be ready by having the information they'll need up on the board ready to be copied down. What information is critical to include? You'll see some options. Take a guess at the appropriate options to complete the board. Some are easier than others. When the room is ready, can students just enter and seat themselves freely? No. Proctors must either direct them to assigned seats or assigned seating at random. There are 2 general points to check off for your test room. Select each for details. If your school conducted a pre-administration session, you'll need to get the correct answer sheets into the hands of the correct students. If you don't know all the students by name, make sure to check ID when handing answer sheets out.
We have no homeschooled students coming to take the test.
What does the test morning look like from a timing perspective? You may need to start with some pre-administration activities, which usually take 45 to 50 minutes. If your school conducted a pre-administration session for students, you'll jump right into the first section. This is a reading test, and it's timed for 60 minutes. After that, students get a 5-minute break before they start in on the 35-minute writing and language section. When writing and language is done, they'll switch right into the non-calculator portion of the math test. Tour the room and ensure all students remove calculators from their desks for this section. This takes an additional 25 minutes and is followed by a 5-minute break. The last section is the 45-minute math test with calculator. When it's done, you'll spend about 5 minutes collecting materials and dismissing students. Why does this matter? It's important to know how long each section will take in order to understand the pace of the test, the pace of your morning. Furthermore, it's important to understand that this can't be rushed and that correct timing is a critical part of fair testing. As a side note, if you happen to run overtime with the administration activities, make sure the timing of the remaining sections remains the same. Again, you can't rush the sections regardless of how the rest of the school's test is unfolding. You may be used to handing out materials to classes. You may even do this nearly every day. So, do you think there is any difference in the way you hand out test materials? There is. Make sure to hand out test materials individually to students rather than setting a stack of materials on the front desk of a row and having students hand them back. You'll collect materials individually as well. Again, the idea here is to ensure there are no opportunities for any student to gain an unfair advantage. Administering the test can be extremely straightforward. Using the script in your manual, you'll read it word for word in the order provided. There, test administered. Still, you want to make sure you're doing it right. What does that mean? You'll start where the manual says begin here on test day. There follows some information on what to include on the board, as well as how to deal with cell phones and backpacks, and then latecomers. Then you get important instructions on how to read the script, including when to pause and what parts are to be read versus instructions to you. Next, you'll read the tinted components aloud and follow the instructions. Here you see the script for the first section, the reading test. It indicates the duration of the test and has a place for you to write down the start and finish times. It also includes instructions for what you should be doing during the test, as well as timed call-outs you will need to make to keep students apprised of the time.
Okay, that's the end of video part 1. Let's go to part 2.